Hi, my name is Stan Theresa, and I'm 61 years old, and I live in South Carolina.
I'm Theresa Rydelic. I'm 60 years old, and I met this gentleman when I was 15 years old, and we've been together ever since.
I've been married to my wife, Theresa, we've been debating this, 39 years. 39 years. 39 years.
October.
39 years of bliss. About three and a half years ago, I ended up getting ill. I thought I had the flu. It turned out that I had complete liver failure, and so unfortunately, or fortunately, I had to have a liver transplant. As part of the procedure to nourish my liver, I found out what they did is they rerouted some of my blood flow, and so I ended up with a condition called arterial insufficiency, which basically means that the lower part of my body had insufficient blood flow. After I had my liver transplant and I was feeling well again, and then I found out that things were not happening romantically. It was kind of a surprise. So what I did was I asked my general practitioner, and so he immediately says, well, you know what? All you need is some Viagra. So what he did was he gave me a prescription for Viagra. I went home. I remember that evening, I was thinking, oh, how wonderful, Viagra. Of course, it's going to be a great evening. So what I did is I put some music on, poured some wine for my wife, lit some candles, and guess what? Nothing happened. So I went back, and and every time we're going in, it's just like it's 2 weeks or so between appointments, and it's still like nothing's happening, and you start to really get very discouraged. So the doctor gave me a choice. He says we could use vacuum erection devices, he says, or we can also use an injection. So I said, well, let's try the vacuum thing first. That was horrifying. Well, first of all, in my opinion, it was horrifying. It didn't really work. So that was like a one-time shot. And then we tried it was Trimix that I tried. And so I thought that was going to be great. Went home, and again, since there was a tiny bit of success, I thought this was going to be a great evening. So you try to get all romantic, and then you say, oh, excuse me, honey, I have to go into the bathroom and inject my penis with Trimix. I did everything that I could, and quite honestly, I had never even heard of a penile implant. And so when this doctor I went to, he was a young gun, kind of like, cutting edge, and he says, well, I think the only thing that we could do, he says, to really guarantee that you can get an erection is a penile implant. So Theresa was a part of the process. She came to the doctor's office with me, and what we did is we had the discussion about it in penile implant, and she said, look, if it means that much to you, she goes, I want you back how you were. I want you happy. A couple things came up. The first one that I worried about was the procedure, a painful procedure. And quite honestly, I was told, and after experiencing it, it's an outpatient procedure. It takes less than an hour, in many cases a half an hour or less. Another thing that concerned me also, and this one's going to sound really, really very strange, but I really worried that I would have the desire to have sex.
Well, it's kind of ironic because that's exactly how I felt. I felt like, well, he's going to get this implant. We hadn't had sex in so long. Maybe that chapter's over. And I think that a lot of women worry that they're not going to be ready for this new adventure like they were. And it actually has been a renewal of our relationship in one area. And so I'm glad. I'm just glad it's freeing. It's taken on where we can be spontaneous, just so different than years before.
There was a romance.
Yeah.
There was a spark that was put back that we didn't know went out. The thing that's really, I think, been wonderful with an implant, with the implant, which I honestly, I don't consider I have an implant anymore. It's just, it's a part of me.
Right.
There's no, well, first of all, from the standpoint, if you look at me, if you saw me in the shower or whatever, you cannot tell that I've had an implant at all. And then also from the other standpoint is you have complete spontaneity. There is never anything where you have to say, okay, you know what, I'm going to take a pill and wait a half an hour for it to happen. If you're in the mood, you're in the mood.
Right.
And you know, I mean, it turns back the clock. I mean, I honestly feel like we're in our 20s or 30s.
Since the implant, there's a confidence there that is actually very sexy. And that confidence is something that I think the implant did for us. And I don't worry that it was me, that maybe I wasn't something that he was needing. No, we're perfect for one another, and now we have back our love life. If I could give some advice to someone dealing with this, a couple dealing with this, I would say talk to one another, be honest and open and loving, because the answer may be no. The answer may be, no, I don't want to do this, and it may be, I've been thinking about this. So I think communication is the key.
If I could give a piece of advice to anyone suffering from erectile dysfunction, it is the fact that you have one life and you have the choice to choose how you live your life and at what level of quality you live your life. So if you're suffering with something like erectile dysfunction, that's fine, you can live with it, but you don't have to. It's something that is so easily fixed, and you could have the quality back in your life that makes you a whole person again.